Hey, this is Estere with your weekly celestial gossip as we slide right into the countdown to Christmas and New Year's, kind of tying up the ends of 2018, thinking about what's coming in the new year, trying not to focus too much on all the craziness that came down in 2018. Um, there's no question that it's a highly emotional, volatile time as we move into the winter solstice, which is on Friday, December 21st at 3:23 p.m. Mountain Time, so adjust for your own time zone. And the winter solstice occurs always when the sun moves into 0 degrees Capricorn. And that's when in the northern hemisphere, the earth is tilted farthest away from the sun. So our days are shorter, and our nights are longest. And then in the southern hemisphere, of course, the earth is tilted towards the sun and it's summer down there. So with the winter solstice, right following when the sun moves into Capricorn, the days will slowly start getting longer. There's actually more light coming in on the northern hemisphere during the day, which is interesting because as we enter winter, the winter months now, we think of it as kind of colder and maybe more withdrawn, but actually there's going to be more light. There you go. One of the mysteries of the universe. Directly following the solstice, we're going to be having a full moon, and that's on the 22nd, and that's at 10:49 a.m. in the morning Mountain Time. So very, within a day of the solstice, we're also having a full moon. So that kind of really amps up the energy. And I'm sure you've noticed in your own life, if you're kind of paying attention to the emotional ups and downs, things do tend to intensify as we're moving in the few days before the full moon. So when you add to this arriving at the full moon, and there's going to be a lot of traveling, going to visiting families, or maybe just stuff, guaranteed stuff is going to come up around families, around emotions. Don't be surprised if there's a lot more crying this year. Mars is still in Pisces. Pisces is such an emotionally sensitive, raw sign, and Mars in there is going to give it a lot of oomph. Venus is still in Scorpio, excavating the deep layers of emotional intensity. Maybe jealousies are coming up, but betrayal, fears of abandonment, triggers of holidays past, and maybe things that occurred that were joyful to you and are no longer there, so you miss them, or maybe just the trigger of being around the family or the expectation. I mean, it's an intense time of year, and more self-care is really required at this time. Feeding your cannabinoid system, making sure everything is working well in your body. That I do that through taking hemp oil every day, exercise, getting your lymph system going, drinking lots of water so that you're detoxing not only foods you might be eating or overeating at this time, or alcohol, but also emotions that are trying to work their way through your body. You want to help them do that by giving them oxygen, by giving them water, and by giving support to your cannabinoid system so that all your organs are working beautifully. It's mandatory this week. And meditation time, alone time, especially if you're visiting family. They have that crazy thing that happens when you're visiting family. You don't see them for a year, and then 24/7 you're with them all the time. It's too much. So make sure you have your alone time, your downtime, to recharge your own system. Pluto's at 20 degrees Capricorn this week. Neptune's at 13 degrees Pisces. very close to just kind of past its conjunction with Mars, but still pretty close to Mars. So that Pisces energy is super heightened right now. Again, that's what makes you feel so sensitive and emotionally raw, volatile, really. Uranus is retrograde, 28 degrees Aries. That can add a little flame to the conflagration, and things can happen by surprise, and positive things can happen by surprise too. It doesn't always have to be things that are challenging, but Uranus retrograde in Aries does kind of throw that little extra spark of unpredictability into the mix. And, that can always be fun or it can be a little challenging too, depending on what gets triggered in your own chart. Saturn is at 8 degrees Capricorn. Jupiter's at 9 degrees Sagittarius, and Mercury is at between 4 and 11 degrees of Sagittarius this week. So we're looking at the week December, what is this? Oh, December 17th through the 23rd. That's this week that we're looking at in our celestial gossip. And I've been noticing, I've been chatting with some other people too about communication still seems to be messed up. Technology is not working. Phone's not working. It feels like Mercury retrograde, even though Mercury has already moved into the sign of Sagittarius and is moving direct. But I was thinking about how, like, Sagittarius, everything gets bigger in Sagittarius because it's ruled by Jupiter, and Jupiter is in Sagittarius, transiting through Sagittarius right now, and is very close to Mercury. So it feels like mischief in communication is larger. It's actually getting amplified this week, and it can actually feel like Mercury retrograde. So, slow down and don't take things so personally, and listen to comedy and listen to music that uplifts you, and take responsibility for your own feelings and for what gets triggered, and don't expect somebody else to fix it for you. You've got to fix your own emotional state. You've got to take care of your own body. You have to manage your own life experience because it's your ride. It's kind of like, I love to watch the surfing movies. Not that I personally would ever get on a surfboard. I wouldn't. Life is enough of a wild ride for me. I don't need to be on a surfboard. But I do love to watch the surfers. And I really get it that when they're on that board, their experience with the ocean cannot be controlled or in any way determined by anyone else. It's their ride, and they're going to have the experience that they have depending on their risk level and their level of expertise and luck too. So riding a surfboard is a lot like the ride of life, and you have to be responsible for everything that goes on that surfboard and the circumstances that you put yourself in, and then how you're going to manage those circumstances. So it's a wild ride on planet Earth. Enjoy it. Schedule a reading, get some clarity about your own chart, your own path, your own journey, and how the planets are working to support you in moving towards your own evolution, your own full potential. You are love always, and you will always return back to love. Have a beautiful week on planet Earth. It's your week, it's your experience, and make it what you want, and feel your feelings. Have the full experience of being a spiritual being having a physical experience. Thanks for joining me today for this week's Celestial Gossip. This is Estere with Starry Blessings Astrology. You can sign up for readings, learn more about my work at my website, StarryBlessingsAstrology.com. And thanks for subscribing to my station. I really appreciate it, and I'd love to hear from you personally. Ta-ta!